A huge share of what you love for no reason other than that you've seen it before. Not because it's better, not because you chose it, simply because your brain has bumped into it enough times to stop treating it as a stranger. The song you skipped the first time and now can't stop playing. The person who annoyed you in week 1 and became your closest friend by week 10. The logo you trust, the face you find attractive, the opinion you hold. A startling amount of it is not preference at all. It's just familiarity, wearing the mask of taste. And once you see how this works, you'll never fully trust your own, "I just like it" again. Psychologists proved this with something that had no meaning at all. In the 1960s, Robert Zajonc showed people made-up symbols, Chinese-like characters they'd never seen and couldn't read. Some symbols he flashed just once. Others he showed over and over. Then he asked a simple question: which of these do you like more? People consistently preferred the ones they'd seen the most. Not because those symbols meant anything good, they meant nothing. The only difference was repetition. Familiarity by itself, with zero information attached, was enough to manufacture a preference out of thin air. He ran it with nonsense words, with photographs of strangers' faces, with everything he could think of, and the pattern held every single time. Why would the mind do this? Because to a brain built for survival, familiar means safe. Something you've encountered many times and are still here to think about clearly didn't kill you. Novelty, on the other hand, is a question mark. It could be a threat, and threats demand energy and caution. So the brain evolved a quiet shortcut. The more it recognizes something, the more it relaxes around it. And that ease of processing gets misread as liking. You don't feel your neurons firing more smoothly on the second and third exposure. You just feel a warm, unexplained sense of, yeah, this one. The comfort of recognition, mistaken for the pleasure of a good choice. This is the secret engine of the entire music industry. You hear a new song and it does nothing for you, or you actively dislike it. But it's on every playlist, every ad, every store you walk into. By the 10th involuntary listen, something has shifted. The melody feels less like an intruder and more like an old room you know your way around. You start humming it. You call it a grower. But nothing about the song grew. You did. Radio stations have understood this for a century. They don't play a song because it's a hit. They play it until it becomes one. Repetition isn't how you discover you love music. Repetition is how the love gets installed. The same force quietly shapes who you love. Study after study finds that one of the strongest predictors of friendship and even marriage is simple proximity. Who you happen to sit near, live beside, or pass in a hallway again and again. Not shared values, not deep compatibility, just repeated, accidental exposure. The person you now can't imagine your life without is very often someone you barely noticed at first, who became precious mostly because they kept showing up. It's a humbling thought. Some of your deepest bonds began not with a spark, but with a seating chart. Familiarity did the slow work that felt, in memory, like fate. Here's one of the strangest proofs of all. You see your own face every day, but only in the mirror, reversed. Your friends see the true, unflipped version. So when researchers show people both a normal photo and a mirror-flipped photo of themselves, a fascinating split appears. You tend to prefer the mirror version, the one you're used to, while your friends prefer the real one they're used to. Same face, two audiences, two verdicts, and each side simply prefers the version it has seen more often. There is no objective winner. There's only exposure, quietly deciding what looks right to whom. Your own reflection is proof that your eye follows repetition, not truth. Now it gets more unsettling, because this doesn't stop at faces and songs. It reaches into what you think is true. Psychologists call it the illusory truth effect, and it's mere exposure aimed at ideas. A statement you hear over and over starts to feel more true, whether or not it actually is. The repetition makes it easy to process, and your brain quietly translates that ease into credibility. This is why slogans work, why propaganda repeats, why a rumor said enough times hardens into fact. You didn't evaluate the claim and accept it. You just met it often enough that it stopped feeling like a claim at all and started feeling like something you'd always known. This is why you see the same ad until you're sick of it, and why that's exactly the point. Advertisers aren't trying to convince you with a brilliant argument. They're buying repetition, planting a brand in the familiar equals safe corner of your mind so that, standing in the store, one option feels like an old acquaintance and the rest feel like strangers. You reach for the familiar one and call it a choice. Every jingle you can't unhear, every logo you'd recognize in a fraction of a second, is exposure that was paid for, banking on the same instinct that made those meaningless symbols feel good. Your sense of "I trust this brand" was, in large part, purchased, but the effect has a limit, and knowing it is freeing. Mere exposure works best on things that were neutral or mildly positive to begin with. If you genuinely dislike something, hammering you with more of it doesn't win you over. It often makes you hate it more. That's why an annoying ad can backfire, why an overplayed song curdles into something you can't stand. There's also a ceiling called satiation. Past a certain point, familiar tips into boring, and the warm glow fades into indifference. The sweet spot is repeated exposure to something you didn't mind, enough to breed comfort, not so much that it breeds contempt. Familiarity is a fire, not a switch. Too little and nothing warms, too much and it burns. Here's why this matters beyond trivia. If familiarity secretly drives preference, then your comfort zone isn't neutral. It's actively pulling you toward more of what you already know and away from anything new. The unfamiliar restaurant, the different kind of person, the unusual idea, the road you've never driven. All of them start at a disadvantage, not because they're worse, but because they haven't earned the glow of repetition yet. Left unchecked, mere exposure quietly narrows your life into a loop of the already known and dresses that shrinking up as personal taste. You think you're choosing what you love. Often you're just re-choosing what you've already seen, again and again, until the walls of your world draw a little closer in. So what do you do with this? Two things. First, turn the suspicion inward. When you feel that easy pull of, "I just like this better," pause and ask whether it's genuinely better or merely familiar, especially when you're voting, buying, or judging a person. That one question can hand back a surprising amount of freedom. Second, turn the effect to your advantage. Want to like something that's good for you? A kind of music, an exercise, a healthy food, a hard skill? Don't wait to feel motivated. Just expose yourself to it, gently and repeatedly, and let the same machinery that sells you soda quietly grow a real affection. You can't argue yourself into new tastes, but you can, patiently, familiarize yourself into them. Because so much of what feels like the deep, personal truth of "this is who I am and what I love" is really just the residue of what you've been near the most. The songs, the faces, the beliefs, the brands. Repetition laid them down while you weren't watching and handed you the results labeled as preference. That's not a reason for despair. It's a lever. Recognize when familiarity is choosing for you, and you can start choosing back, deliberately steering your exposure toward the people, ideas, and habits you actually want to love. The next time something just feels right for no reason you can name, ask the honest question, is it good, or have I simply seen it before? Your answer might quietly give you your life back.